Ashburton was one of the councils who've never had an EWS before. We only had a shared network drive. So we knew from the very beginning when we were going to put the EWS in that we wanted to take on board all the lessons that all the councils had learnt from their previous implementations. And from that we rounded up and we really looked at what are the key points of where people struggled in making the change, because the EWS project is a big change management project. What are some of the key points we wanted for compliance? Where are the real drivers and the headaches, and especially how can a small IM team manage a big implementation? So we set about looking at how we wanted to migrate. We knew instantly that we have to involve the staff. So instantly it was not just an IM project, it was a whole corporate project. So the first start I did was really look at the data. So data is super key when you look at migrations. I did a lot of analysis on the network drive, and then from there I painted good visual pictures and then presented them to the management team. And once the management team really saw how information had been stored and all the problems that we had within it, they sort of knew that nothing's better than a picture. Once they visually saw what we had to deal with, then when I put my plan in place, they could see the common sense of what we were trying to do. So we decided to take a slice of that information, clean up that using staff, and move that into the EWS system. But taking on board the lessons learned, we wanted to make sure we jumped well ahead by making the information work within the system extremely well for us, because what we wanted instantly was a very mature system, and that means having the metadata set up in the system against the records. We wanted to also put in retention and disposal straight away. We didn't want to wait. We wanted to close down the network drive, and these are all messages that council have been telling us, you know, of what they've learnt when they're 3, 4, 5 years down the track and still struggling to get staff to stop using their network drives. So it was about looking at the bigger picture, seeing where the real key points were, developing processes that we knew would work for us and the staff, and especially always looking at IM. IM sometimes gets forgotten about. It's a piece of the puzzle that everybody knows that it's a, we put in a document management system, it should be compliant, but they forget that there are processes and procedures that IM staff need to do. And sometimes our EWS systems don't always work well for us. We seem to be a lot end user focused, and we do forget that one of the business components of a council is information management. And just like any other system you roll out where you want to deliver process improvements to the business, well, IM is also a business component. So you want to deliver process improvements to IM as well as like end users. So I always made sure that wherever we looked at how we were going to roll out, I had lots of tools in there that helped the IM staff to get through the jobs that we wanted to do. And that's basically what we looked at doing.
Do you have a few examples of those kind of tools that you use for the IM staff?
So we use SharePoint, and in SharePoint we have views. So before we migrate into the EWS system, we get our staff to tag our information. Once they've tagged the information, the IM team come through it and we do quality checking. So we've created a pile of stock standard views that allow us to get through that process extremely quickly. The other thing I did is I documented all our processes and procedures, so that if I leave the organisation or any of the other staff leave the organisation, it can transcend to new staff, and it won't sort of die a horrible death because the key people in the project have left. So we were really keen on making sure that when we documented the processes, it was an IM person talking to another IM person about what we'd done and how you could do it to keep the process moving forward. that was really key for us.
That's cool. And talking to the judges, they said that they said there was no corners cut, which was a big part of why the project went so smoothly. And they said that it was, really thorough, very well, planned and all that. And they said one of the key things was, you mentioned metadata and the importance of that. Can you tell us a bit about how really preserving that metadata through the migration really helped on the other side?
Sure. So metadata, a record is both a document and a metadata. And to be compliant, you must ensure at all times that the linkages between the two are always maintained. So when, and I'm not bagging IT people, but when IT people do migration, their focus is on getting something from one place to the other. For us, it's maintaining the authenticity on that record. So when you create a record on a network drive, you don't have a lot of metadata to work with. So it's really vital that you keep what you have when you move it from one platform to another. And that when you put it on the other platform, its integrity is still maintained. So it's acting as if it's always lived there. And all you've simply done is change the platform underneath it's actually being stored on. So that you can trust the record. You can trust what you're looking at. You know the person's name on it is the person who made it. The modified is the person who actually last changed the record. So one of the interesting things I did is through my analysis is I seen a lot of records where the modified date was earlier than the creation date. And that's really unusual because how can you modify something before you've created it? That's what happens when people copy. They copy from H drives to the main network drive. They copy from server to server. They reset the creation dates at the point they've done it. So to maintain, to get our records back to as authentic a state as we could get them, we evaluated the 2 dates and we take the earliest of the two and we make that the creation date. And it's bringing the information back to its true state. Not exactly true because it's not its real creation date, it's its modified date, but pretty close. Because you can't be perfect in records. And I know a lot of records people, they're very analytical and they want to have everything very perfect. But in the real world, in the technology world, you have to be able to use probability, weigh up your options, see where your risks are, make a good decision and move forward. And I think that's the thing that sometimes we're hampered with, is the moving forward.